let's address the elephant in the room. Sourdough starters have appeared to be aplenty during this wonderful shelter in, and I'm just going to be that person real quick and say that I wanted to do this before Corona hit the fan. I wanted to do this last summer, so I'm not just following the trend, people. No, it's time for a Betty update. So Betty had a rough few days. She's doing good now, but after I solved the water on the top program, she wasn't growing anymore. So I looked it up, and apparently that's normal when you start a starter sometimes. And it said to just leave it sitting for like 3 days or so and to stir it vigorously like every 12 hours and to see if it was bubbling and might be growing. So about day 3, she started growing again, so I fed her and she was doing good, and then I was paranoid that maybe she wouldn't do good, so I kept feeding her for days, and it was a whole lot of flour and a whole lot of waste. So I decided to birth a Donald from her. So here's Donald. And yeah, so I made Donald and I put Betty in the fridge so she would grow slower. And I knew that if Donald rose, I would feel confident that Betty was gonna be fine. So Betty's in the fridge, Donald's here. We're probably going to make some sourdough bread with Donald, but we fed Donald this morning and we have leftover sourdough starter that I'm gonna try to make biscuits with. So before we get started, just another little tidbit is that I also helped Betty out by adding pineapple juice in her. I think like the acidity in the pineapple juice helps kill any bad bacteria, encourage good bacteria to grow. I don't know, the Google said to do it, so I did it and it worked. So yeah. Okay, so I already have the oven preheating to 425. Wait, did I do 425? I did do 425. And I have a baking sheet lined with parchment paper, and I already have all of the flour and baking powder and salt in here, not my hair. And I already have a cup of sourdough starter discards, not fed, right here. So we're gonna add half a cup of cold, it says unsalted butter, but I only possess salted butter. So we're doing salted butter. Hopefully that does make a difference. It usually really doesn't. And I have a pastry cutter thing somewhere, but I don't know where it is. So we're gonna use a fork. And it says to combine the flour, baking powder, and salt, work the butter into the flour until the mixture is unevenly crumbly. This would be so much easier with my pastry cutter. Hi, Reno. You're not gonna get anything. I'm not making anything that I can give you. I guess that's unevenly crumbly. Sure. Add the starter, mixing gently until the dough is cohesive. All right, here's our starter. Add starter, mix gently until the dough is cohesive. Okay. Okie dokie 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 dokie. Remnants of Donald. Mix gently. Gently makes it sound like I'm going to use this. Okay, I suppose that is cohesive. Sure. Turn the dough out onto a lightly floured surface. A piece of parchment works well. I have this convenient, kind of like pie crust thingy, and I will use that. Flour. That's not really light, Shelby. Cool beans. Put it over a bit more. There we go. You know what? I should put my apron on. Are you just hoping that I dropped something for you? Pat into a 6-inch round, about 1 inch thick. So that's the cool thing about this little pad that I have. 6-inch round is right there. Okay. 6-inch round, 1 inch thick. 2 3/8 biscuit cutter. These don't say how big they are. I'm gonna think this one. Or let me go with a ruler. That's like 2 inches. That's 2 3. Yay! Okay. Cut them as close to one another as possible with scissors. Okay. 4 biscuits. Push and pat the remaining scraps into a 1 inch thick. Wait. Gently push and pat the remaining scraps into a 2.5 inch by 5 inch rectangle. This is such a nifty little thingamabob. Get another 2 biscuits out of that, and then push the remaining scraps into a 1 inch thick biscuit. So we only have a little bit of scrap. Okay, now look, these. Oh well. Oh, I have a solution. Or no. Or yes. Or no, yes. No. It's fine. Or no, because no waste. No waste. Okay. Ta-da! Place the biscuits onto the prepared baking sheet, leaving about 2 inches between them. They'll spread as they bake. Sure. My response to everything, sure. And bake for 20 to 23 minutes until they are golden brown. Okie dokie. Oh, it's nice and crumbly like a biscuit shorty. We're gonna put honey on 1/2. It's really good. So these are like darker than a biscuit normally is because I used spelt flour for my starter. And there's like a really savory taste. And they might be a little salty. So either less salt or actually use unsalted butter. But because they're so savory, it might taste really good with the honey. Did you? Those are really good. Do you want a piece? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Good catch. Alright, well I will link this recipe in the description. So yeah. Look at Betty go. Well, technically this was Donald, not Betty. But Donald was birthed from Betty. So this is like Betty's grandchild. Okay. Bye-bye. Good.